Hello. Welcome to you all.
Hello, Lee.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Good to have you with us. Do we
Great,
think
me
anyone's
too.
done the full 10 hours so far?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we are almost halfway through World Sustainable Procurement Day. I hope everyone's
Yeah.
having fun. I did see in the chat earlier someone's done 7 hours straight and had to go and have a break. So that's 7 hours without eating, drinking, or anything else. That's pretty good.
Wow.
That's a record.
That's
So I'm looking forward to seeing if anyone's made it. So let us know in the chat how much you've been watching and let us know where you're calling in from. It'd be great to see you. But delighted to see you all again. I was presenting earlier. So my name is Oliver Hurry. I'm part of the SPP team. 4 years we've been doing World Sustainable Procurement Day. So welcome back to anyone that's been with us all the way. If you're brand new, and indeed this is your first ever World Sustainable Procurement Day session, welcome. We have a really fascinating session and a very important session. I'm only on the important sessions, obviously, but no, this is very, very important. This session has a great importance, and let me explain why. So, first of all, I'm joined by Prasanna of Eaton, Sruthi of Novonesis, two people that I've got to know a little bit recently, and two businesses that have been doing absolutely phenomenal work, both for the Sustainable Procurement Pledge, but also in sustainability more generally and procurement more generally. So why is this session so important? So just before Christmas, we had our meeting of our Champions Programme, which is the Chief Procurement Officers that support the Sustainable Procurement Pledge. And we were reflecting on the journey so far of the Sustainable Procurement Pledge. And there was a couple of things that we felt were really important. The first was the fact that were we getting down to category level, detailed understanding of what it means to bake sustainability into category strategies? Because we all know if it's in the category strategy, it gets done, or in theory it should. So were we doing enough at that level? One of the other reflections that we had is after however many years we've been going, it feels like many now. I'm trying to think of where we started and where we switched, but certainly doing World Sustainable Procurement Day for 4 years, we wondered if we were spending too much time helping sustainable procurement professionals and not enough time focusing even more on those category managers and those procurement professionals who were actually genuinely supposed to be supporting directly. So very frank admission from us that we felt it was important that in 2025, we took extra effort to focus on the category managers and category strategies and looking at how both the E and the S and the G was baked into category strategies. So that's really what we've been trying to do today. So today is part of a series of meetings during World Sustainable Procurement Day, where you'll start to see even more emphasis on the progress for category managers and the plans and the efforts. So Prasanna and Sruthi are here today to help guide me through that. So before we get started, please have a look at the polls. And if we could put the poll up on stage, who are you? That's my question. I need to know who you are. It's very important when you're presenting on these things to really understand who are those people in front of us. So let us know, are you a category manager? Are you a procurement leader? I'll let you decide whether you're a procurement leader or not. It's up to you. You can decide. Are you working in other areas of procurement? Are you a sustainability professional? Or are you just something else? Not sure what that something else is. You can decide what that something else is. But we'd love to know. Let's just have that. Sruthi, Prasanna, what do you think we're going to see a lot of?
Yes.
Hopefully a lot of category managers. Let's see.
Hopefully, but
Yeah.
maybe not enough. But that's because we're at the start of this journey to engage category managers. And of course, this is being recorded. So hopefully we'll see a few category managers in there. We have got a few, lots of procurement leaders who'll be there engaging and spreading the knowledge down into the category management teams, of course. Yeah, great. Well, we've got a good spread. And it's great to see sustainability here learning about category management and what it means. And I think hopefully we've got a job to do to help those people. Okay, so I'm going to let Prasanna and Sruthi introduce themselves, but just a quick word about their companies. So both Eaton and Novonesis are champions of the Sustainable Procurement Pledge. That means a huge amount to us. That means that they're committed to embedding sustainability into procurement. It means their leaders are, it means their people are, and honestly, the engagement from these two companies has been absolutely fantastic. Sruthi herself has been a fantastic peer in all the activities that I've been involved in over the last few years, and you'll definitely want to be hearing about their progress and fantastic work. And Prasanna, if you don't mind me saying, Eaton in particular have been one of the best champions we've had. The engagement levels in Eaton, and I hope plenty of Eaton people are listening in, has been record-breaking. By far the company that is the most engaged with their teams already across all of our champions in the past year or so. So it shows how well sustainability is embedded in Eaton, that all your teams and people have been engaged and seem to care. So no pressure, guys. I've set you up nicely to do your shares.
So
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't feel that pressure. So
Yeah.
Prasanna, we'll start with you, but before we do, let's start the poll that's relative to your work on social impact. So if we could put the poll up on that, and everyone could make sure they go to the polls and look at that. So how would you rate your maturity in integrating social impact into your category strategy? So be honest. It's important to be honest for these polls. So not at all, planning to, done it a little bit, or are you bold and confident and think you've got it nailed? So let us know. Warning, anyone that says integrated fully, I will demand that in the chat you share some of your secrets. So it's not just Prasanna and Sruthi, but if you're going to tick integrated fully, I'm going to expect you to share some of your insights as we go along in the chat. So it's not bad, guys, is it? If you look at it, not bad at all. There's certainly people along that journey, which is great. So I think that means that Prasanna or Sruthi, when you're talking, yeah, we'll see that. Okay. Brilliant. Well, Prasanna, over to you. Do you want to share your slides? And then we'll get started and we'll help you tell your story first.
Thank you so much. Just give me.
Prasanna is going to talk more about the social impact in integrating in category strategies, and Sruthi is going to talk about more decarbonisation and climate in their category strategies as well.
Yeah. Before I start, just wanted to confirm if my screen is visible only.
Not yet. Not yet, Prasanna. Ah, here we go. Yep. There you go. Looking beautiful. We can see it all.
Great. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. So, thank you, Oliver, for the compliments. Like, there are a lot of, I could see a lot of all variety of people joined in today's session. So I hope we share each other's best practices today. So let me start. So I will be speaking specifically, as Oli mentioned, I will be speaking specifically about the social impacts of the categories specific to your categories, how we can identify the risks and how we can mitigate the risk throughout our categories. So let me quickly give a small intro about myself. So being a chemical engineer turned into a supply chain professional, having more than 7 years of expertise in global regulations, my passion over sustainability initiatives made me help me contributing Eaton to creating awareness, engaging with the procurement people and keeping suppliers engaged throughout our campaigns. So you can reach out to me in LinkedIn as well. Yeah. So let's move ahead on the agenda for today's session. In the next 15 minutes, I will take you over the overview of Eaton and what is our sustainability goals and what are the primary methods to drive the sustainability around your supply chain and what are the key strategies to engage procurement professionals, suppliers, and how we can align the categories. With an example, we will take you through on the conflict minerals process, how we aligned it towards our sustainability goals as well. Yeah. So moving ahead, who are we? Eaton, we are one of the leading power management company focusing on improving, providing better tools to customer to improve the efficiency of the power, which for our stakeholders as well, and doing business more efficiently and sustainably. So that's, of course, our motto is to create, we make what matters work sustainably, right? So moving ahead, me take you through our sustainability goals. Our sustainability goals is aligned on 4 pillars: creating sustainable solutions, reducing carbon footprint, and engaging our employees and communities, and of course, doing the business right and transparently. So from a procurement standpoint, I would say we have 2 key targets. First one, I will start with 15% reduction in scope 3 emission, which is related to our these are all the three work streams which are aligned to this target. And the next thing is no human rights violation from key suppliers. So, and these three social work streams are aligned towards this target. So today I will take you over the conflict minerals campaigns, like how we have aligned this campaign towards our sustainability goal. So this is how our annual calendar cycle looks like. So at the beginning of the first quarter, we identify the relevant suppliers uh, uh, to reach out, to initiate the campaign. So next we have in the second quarter, we create awareness against our supply chain people by creating kickoff campaigns, and then we start reaching out to our suppliers throughout the sustainability campaigns. So next step on the July to September timeframe, we follow up with our suppliers to validate their responses, and we have a regular cadence with our category managers to keep them uh, aware about our the process and their supplier status. So in the meantime, when we identify the potential risks from our suppliers, we mitigate them. We connect with our category managers to mitigate these potential risks. And if there are any business escalations required, we do that as well. So we close our campaigns on the next year, first quarter of the next year. Similarly, we start the next cycle for the annual campaign. So we also educate our suppliers by using tools like responsible minerals business alliance. So we assign the trainings to leverage to understand, to make them understand more about our requirements. And obviously, we also report our key results to our stakeholders. And being a publicly listed company, we report our results to the US SEC filing every year. Uh, so when we speak about how we do, what we do, like how we are going to align, drive this campaign throughout our system, like throughout your organization. So we at Eaton, what we do, so when we speak about these important campaigns, so the primary method for to run these campaigns, run this sustainability initiative towards your supply chain is basically supplier campaigns. So reach out to them, keep them engaged. So again, it will be creating the awareness and making them more accountable. Mm. How we implement the supplier campaigns. So that is basically we implemented the ACCAR methodology. So creating awareness about what are the requirements, making them desire to participate and support your initiatives, and keeping them knowledge on what are all the requirements and the ability to provide give the required skills, and reinforcing for the sustenance part. So now we understood like how what is our methodology and what is our ideology to keep these campaigns running, right? So how we are going to do, right? So the question comes with the answer comes with the key strategies that we implement. So there are three key strategies which are we think which is very important to run these campaigns. So first, the procurement professional engagement. So making them aware about the process, and making them committed towards our goals. And the next part is supplier engagement. So keeping them informed about the campaigns, and making them responsible to the what are your requirements, and so on. So the next step involves with the category strategy alignment. It is one of the most part where we identify the risk and understanding what are all the risk associated with your categories, and how you are mitigating, how we can address these risks throughout your supply chain by having a smart goals, and so on. So we will keep go through each of these key strategies in more detail in upcoming slides. So I will start with procurement professional engagement. So when we see what we saw is creating awareness and making them more committed, right? So how we make them aware about our campaign? So we run the kickoff campaign meeting with them. We send newsletter communications and having the regular cadence with the procurement professionals. And we also leverage internal and external trainings like responsible minerals initiatives and SPT to ensure that all our procurement professionals are aware about these risks related to environment and social. So the next step is the commitment part. So commitment, how we can make them committed more towards your goals, sir. Like we at Eaton, what we did, we challenged all our procurement professionals to participate and sign the sustainable procurement pledge. And I hope all the audiences here did the same. Yeah. So moving ahead.
Superb.
So yeah, supplier engagement. So it's all about the supplier engagement is all about communicating effectively with your supplier so that they will understand your requirements. So the first part of making them committed to us is understanding our code of conduct policy. So we ask our suppliers to read through our code of conduct policy and affirm it so that they keep us aligned on with us on the same track. So so the next steps are like having a kickoff communications, doing rigorous follow up with the suppliers, and identifying and communication of the risks, and providing some training to the suppliers to aware about the processes, or some most of the suppliers may not aware of these campaigns, right? So we give them awareness about these processes so that they will be more rigorous towards it, right? The important part here is keeping our category managers regularly updated about the supplier status, by providing the we have a dashboard to build internally to show to see the live status of the suppliers among these campaigns. So they can communicate more with the suppliers who are less responsive, right? So this is how we keep our suppliers engaged towards our campaigns. So the next comes the category strategy alignment part. So our category strategy alignment is a most simple and robust approach, I would say. Define the scope of your process, do analysis, execute, create a strategy around it and execute it. So when we speak about scope of the process, so the scope of the process, defining the scope of the process, conflict minerals, to understand what is conflict minerals, right? So these minerals are tin, tantalum, tungsten, and gold. All these minerals which are being illegally mined from Congo and adjoining countries. Influences on forced labor and other human rights violations. These minerals are commonly found in all commercial products, and their impact is more, right? So we defined a policy around it. At Eaton, we ensure that we do not sell any of the products that incorporates these conflict minerals, and we also comply with the requirement of the section 1502 of the Dodd-Frank Act. So the next part is analysis, right? So when we analyze, what we analyze here, and understanding the doing a risk assessment of the categories, so which can be high risk for conflict minerals, which can be medium risk, and which can be low risk, right? So electrical, if you see all electrical and electronic components, and metals, alloys, mechanical parts, so these are, and especially precious metals, these are all high risk towards high risk categories towards conflict minerals. So we prioritize those suppliers, and we try to align all the suppliers towards our goals. So the next part is having a strategy. At Eaton, we have a risk-based approach to identify the right suppliers. So when we go through each of the steps to identify the right suppliers, when we have the right in-scope suppliers identified, so the next part is executing it. On the execution part, what we do, we communicate with suppliers about our campaigns and do rigorous follow-ups, validate their responses. So how we validate those while validating those responses, we identify any high-risk response based on the information supplier provide to us. How we keep them aligned, So we need to first identify this risk and mitigate them. To identify these risks, we do a products review, business. We analyze the business impact and to go for the alternative solutions so that we can be able to mitigate these risks. Right. Um, so some of the key highlights which we have achieved in the 2024 process, I would say, like we were able to for example, we were reached 88% of our suppliers have responded to our campaigns, and around 78% suppliers have provided acceptable responses without any high risk. Uh, so when we speak about the risk, so here we have highlighted one of the point. If we are unable to mitigate the risk, right? So we evaluate to remove the suppliers from our supply chain. So here comes the most important part, like removing supplier from our category leads to resourcing, right? So how our resourcing looks like at Eaton, we do not focus on only on the cost reduction when it comes to resourcing. Our goal for here is to create a resilient supply chain. Uh, and it cannot be achieved through one metrics as we understood, like so that's why we have established the total cost of ownership framework at Eaton. So what the total cost of ownership it does is, like it has multiple key components, and they analyze the suppliers based on these key components to give business an optimal solution to go for which to choose the right supplier. So in last year, in last few years, our TCO team has implemented the sustainability measure as a key component to identify the environmental and social risk. And they had did few pilot projects related to some of this environmental and social risk, which helped our sourcing team to go for the right suppliers, right? Uh, to wrap it up on all the things which I have mentioned, so utilize the external sources like supplier, procurement pledge platform to aware, keep yourself aware of the importance of this risk, and sign the pledge. Be desired and committed to yourself to your organization sustainability target, and make your suppliers accountable by providing them enough knowledge among them, and provide the requirements to fulfill the same, right? Ability to fulfill the same, and reinforce you this sustainability target into your category strategy, as well as to identify your potential risk and mitigate it through the approaches like total cost of ownership. Yeah. So hope I was not running and fast and.
Oh, it's perfect. There's some really good slides in there, Prasanna,
Yeah.
and great work that you guys are doing as well. Shows the importance of education and support for procurement. I often say that supplier engagement starts with procurement engagement. Unless you've got
Yeah.
the category managers on board and understanding what they're trying to do and in their category strategies, then the supplier engagement doesn't stick and it doesn't work. So fantastic. And it's fascinating seeing conflict minerals as well, a category that many people listening in from all sorts of industries will be aware of. And it'd be interesting to way you look at that. So we're going to have some questions in a minute. I think we'll go to Sruthi next, and we'll do all the questions together. But you've already got some questions, so you're the lucky one. You get to see what the questions are before you answer them. Whereas Sruthi, you've got to do it a bit more on the fly. So before we start with you, Sruthi, let's run that second poll, or throw that second poll up on the stage. Let's find out if people more often have climate integrated in their category strategies or social impact. What do we reckon the results will be? Will it be more social or more climate, I wonder? I'm intrigued. So do vote now. Let us know. So social impact, we had, what was it? About 40-something% said that it was either partially or fully integrated on social. Let's see where we can get to on climate. What do we think? Not bad. Just slightly more, I think. So 55%. What a surprise. Climate being social again. What a surprise. God. Anyway, it's all intertwined anyway, as we're going to hear from Sruthi. Lovely. Well, thank you very much for that poll. So Sruthi, if you want to start sharing your slides, delighted to have you with us. Now, I should add that Sruthi is already put a wonderful resource in the resources section. So if you look in the resources section just below the poll on your thing, you can actually download a fantastic insight from Sruthi and Novonesis that you guys can copy away with pride. So Sruthi, always a pleasure to have you with us. Over to you.
It's my pleasure, Oli. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. I'm going to now move on to how we can integrate climate in our category strategies. So as Oli mentioned, what I'll be doing today is to share a category climate one-pager template with you and some practical steps on how you get to filling that one-pager. And I really hope that I think we had a lot of partly there and beginners in the poll. So someone who's starting out on this journey could use some parts of this one page as an inspiration. I'll also share a bit about our overall climate transition plan and how we are working at the corporate level, because also truly believe that the category strategy should have a connection to the corporate level strategy. So before we jump into the one pager, and you can find them on the resources tab, as I mentioned, I'll just start putting a few words on who are we at Novonesis and what we stand for. At Novonesis, we are a biosolutions company with headquarters in Denmark. We were formed last year by the merger of Novozymes and Christian Hansen, two companies with 100+ years of a legacy of providing biosolutions. Our products, they are enzymes, cultures, proteins, probiotics, etc. And there's a very high chance that they are already present in your everyday life and they're reducing your environmental footprint. It could be reducing food waste in your kitchen or making your transport to work greener using biofuels, or helping you do your laundry a little bit greener using less chemicals and low temperatures. So this is what our company is really standing for. That is our handprint, as we call it. That is how we enable sustainability to our customers and help you become more sustainable. But today, of course, we are talking about our footprint, how we are managing our own emissions. So I'll quickly jump into that and especially zoom into our climate targets, because that's the topic for today. So we have a net zero target and 2030 targets, both SBTi aligned, validated. A scope 1 and 2 target of 75% reduction, and the main focus for today, the value chain emission, we have a 35% reduction target towards 2030. And the scope 3, the roadmap, what you can see on the screen are the different levers we are working in our climate transition plan. So you can imagine the first year after a merger, there's a lot of things going on, but something we really worked hard the first year is to also get the foundation and our climate transition plan in place, and not something which could be easily deprioritized, right? So as you can see on the screen, the supplier climate program is one of the biggest contributor to this. Together with other levers, like, we're exploring how we can tweak our production to allow for leaner, greener manufacturing. We are looking at how we are transporting our products to our customers, which is also part of procurement because we buy the logistics services, but also the role of biosolutions. So how can the biosolutions itself reduce the value chain impact by working with our suppliers? So I'll just double click onto our supplier climate program here. So that explains the why behind the integrating climate in the category strategy. So Pave to Zero, that's the name of our supplier climate engagement program. Pave being our new procurement strategy, procurement as a value enabler, and Pave to Zero, meaning how we could enable our transition to net zero. And I thought I'll bring this slide also just to zoom out, and as a community here, as a reminder, right, each of us as SPP ambassadors, we are indeed enabling net zero, and that's why we are here and talking about integrating climate and category strategy. But diving into the engagements, right, what do we really want here? We don't want general engagements. We really want targeted engagement based on suppliers' maturity, and I'm sure all of you are sitting with a range of suppliers at different maturity levels, as you can see on the screen. And we really need to talk to the supplier at the level where they are, but also based on the category impact. So we could do targeted engagement. And that's why we need to integrate climate at the category level, coming to the topic of the day. So as I mentioned, I'll be sharing your one-pager template so we can start integrating all the relevant points in the category strategy, like understanding the impact of the category, understanding the emission drivers so that actions, supplier engagement, etc., could be done in a targeted way. So without wasting more time, I'll jump right into it. Yes, there's a lot to go through here, but we will mainly focus on 3 points here. The first one would be understanding the impact of the category. So what is my role and my category's role in the company's carbon footprint, and so that I know what is my starting point. Then we will look into the category focus or where to focus so that the actions can be planned accordingly. And the third thing we will look into is how do we segment the supplier so we can have a targeted strategy depending on where the suppliers end up in the segmentation model. I'm going to take you through each of these points now. Let's look into the first one, understanding the impact in the category. So this is really about translating the corporate carbon footprint into your language in your category impact insights. So as an example here, what you can see here, this is the 2024 Novonesis corporate carbon footprint just out last month. And you can see that 72% of the emissions are coming from scope 3.1. But then what does that mean for my category? So that is really deep diving and saying that, okay, X percentage of this 3.1 is contributed by my category. And then you can also then double click into a subcategories, etc. So you really understand what is the impact we're talking about. Then, of course, you're buying a lot of materials in your category. So the next step would be looking into which materials should I really focus on. And as an example here, maybe if you take the 10 hotspots in the company or in 3.1, which are the materials from your category that is contributing to that? So you can build that bridge to your impact into the Scope 3 decarbonization roadmap of the company. So that's about the first point of understanding the impact. Now let's go into the second part, that is to act. To act, we need to understand what is the main driver of the emission. Again, depending on what you buy, it could be electricity, it could be heat, it could be farm level emissions, it could be transport, or maybe just the material choice that can determine what is driving emissions in your category. A way to get started here, and something which we are using a lot, is this idea of carbon profiles. And I know in the LCA world, it's called like allocation model. It's where you look into what you're buying, and if you have the information about, let's say, you have the emission factor. It's the picture I have here is purely for illustration from a public database, where if you're buying liquid yeast, you can see the emission of 1 kilogram of liquid yeast is built up of different factors there, right? Some of them is coming from the molasses and sugar, some of them are from the energy used in production, transport, etc. But by looking at the carbon profile, we'll be able to quickly jump into what is the key emission driver I have to focus here. It is farm level emissions, right? I need to reduce the farm level emissions from sugar production and electricity so that I can devise my primary decarbonization focus, which is to reduce farm level emissions and working on renewable conversion at the supply. So then we're getting really concrete, right? So and not getting distracted by maybe fine-tuning that 0.2% of wastewater and wastewater treatment, but having the right focus. So by doing these, we cover the first 2 parts, the what and the drivers to act. That is the left part of this one pager. Now we have all the knowledge. So now let's come into the actual supply engagement. There were so many interesting sessions during the day today on supply engagement. But how do you get started? So I'm going to present a very classic supplier segmentation model so that you can devise your engagement strategy according to where your suppliers end up. So how do you get there? We're going to use, as I said, a very classic impact versus supplier maturity metrics, where on your y-axis, you look at the supplier scope 3 impact. Again, of course, if you're very matured with you have a carbon accounting tool, you can see supplier emissions, etc. You can use that. But of course, if you don't have that, I would suggest just use your spend data, right? In your hotspots, use your spend data to prioritize your suppliers. And On the x-axis, we will map the supplier climate action maturity. So again, go into your supplier sustainability page or look at the SBTI page and see has your supplier signed up for SBTI. So of course, then matures a supplier with, let's say, SBTI targets and a high impact would end up on your top green quadrant in this metrics. And why are we doing this segmentation? Because again, depending on where they end up, it could be very different strategies you can use with your suppliers. So for example, if the suppliers are ending up in the top right column, that is high impact, high maturity, then the strategy could be how do you explore collaboration with them or innovation with them. You might be inviting them to workshops or innovation days to identify potential projects. You can have combined reduction projects with them. Or if they end up in the top left corner, that could be, they are high impact but very low maturity. Then you look at promote action. That could be about providing supportive information, webinars, helping them calculate their emissions, or just, industry partnerships and other levers that you can use to really move the needle there. But there could also be suppliers whom you decide that you don't do active involvement with them if you do a segmentation model like this. So it's at the end of the day, I think it's all about getting your focus right? So you know which suppliers to focus and have that reflected on your category strategies. But then I just wanted to mention one more thing. That's a third dimension, which I cannot see, but all of you category managers sitting in the call can see, right? That is your leverage over the supply. So that's, I call the Z axis. So depending on the leverage, there could be other layers you could add into your category strategy and implement those actions. Yes, so voila, there we are. We've gone through all the three main areas. So now on the one pager, you know your climate impact, you know where to focus, and the supplier segmentation is done so that you know what strategy to use. The bottom part of the slide, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but the idea is that then you also capture the key Scope 3 initiatives linked to the category at the same place. So as a global category team, everyone can look at the same picture. And you can also maybe divide the initiatives. Some of them could be like general levers that you could use across, right? Like asking for PCFs, conversion to renewable energy, etc. But in your category, there might be certain greener alternatives you can pursue. It could be, liquid nitrogen produced with renewable energy, or having more recycled content in your packaging. But there could be also some other levers which is not fully in your control in procurement. It could be about raw material substitution or more process-related levers which you would need to work with your line of business to get into place. But the idea is to capture everything on your category strategy, so we have a place to start. Yes, that was my presentation. Just to sum up the key takeaway, this is really about integrating climate action as an integral part of your category strategy. So hopefully you can just slide this one pager in some format in your category strategy, making sure that your category impacts are reflected, your key emission drivers and opportunities are reflected, and that you also have your suppliers segmentation and targeted action reflected on your category strategy.
Superb.
Yeah, thank you.
As always, Sruthi, you never let me down. That was absolutely brilliant. And how practical. Again, no excuses, guys. You can literally download a fantastic template that you have somewhere to just get started, as the cliche says. Sruthi has given you no more excuses not to just get started. That is a fantastic template. Thank you so much. Prasanna, Sruthi, you were brilliant. Right, let's have some questions. Now, before we have some questions, let me just say, I can see you all listening in, and I can see some of you making coffees. Put those coffees down, start typing some questions in. If you've been going for 7 hours, I don't care. I want some more questions and I want some more comments. So especially you guys, I can see you in the watch parties, sat in your offices, surrounded by your bosses, being a little afraid to ask silly questions. I don't care. Get over there and type some questions into the chat, please. We want some more questions. Otherwise, I'll ask really stupid ones of these guys. So don't leave it just to me.
Yeah. You can also share if you have any best practices. We will also take it up.
Exactly true.
Yeah.
I mean, we all here. If there's anyone got any ideas or improvements to the template, let us know. Although I think Sruthi won't take it personally, I'm sure. There's some great stuff to be shared.
Bring it on.
Exactly. Right. Prasanna, there was a question for you fairly early on. Everyone wants to know what tools are being used. So can you give us an insight into what tools you're using for your supplier maturity assessment?
Yeah, currently at Eaton, we do not use any outsourced tools. So we manage it internally. So we used Power Platforms. We utilize more of the Microsoft tools to create and assess their. Our maturity assessment contains of all of these campaigns, how much as a supplier they are matured over these regulatory requirements, and we rate them and we give them an idea like how they can improve it. Like if do you have for example, if it is about conflict minerals, so do you have a policy around it? Like what are the steps they have taken? These are all the questions we ask our suppliers. So based on their responses, we rate them, so which helps them to get improvised. And also we have a policy to award suppliers. Look, supplier awards have like we based on these ratings, we give them give these suppliers and some ratings, and we award them on an annual basis, like which is a good supplier based on how they are matured over sustainability. Yeah, so
excellent. The fact that you don't use any external tools, there's tool providers around the world, so ears are suddenly burning.
we have good automation people who can do these things.
Yeah, Prasanna, you're about to get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, I think, somehow. But anyway, Sruthi, have you got any suggestions about some of the tools or some of the approaches you take for maturity assessment?
We do use a third-party tool, an AI-based third-party tool, which gives us a quick indication even before we engage with our suppliers on what is their maturity. So have they set targets? Are they disclosing emissions, etc.? So it gives us a good starting point even before engagement to see where they are. And of course, we learn in every engagement, right? So we see what the tool brings us as a starting point, and then we always learn in the engagement. Maybe they can do more or less, and we take it from there.
Excellent. Okay, that sounds really good. There's a really good question from Srinath in here about the role of R&D in this. So we often talk about the intersection between sustainability and procurement, but the role of product and R&D and design. Have you got any thoughts about that? Who wants to pick that one up?
I can start. I think very much, right? Because as we saw also the Scope 3 climate transition plan, supply engagement was one aspect of it, but we also parallelly looking at, what can we change in our production, raw materials we use, etc. So whenever we talk about something like, we have a material which is from a very hard to abate sector, then we of course have to look at from a broader perspective, can we innovate to use that product less? Or, are there any other alternatives? And that also comes to this other levers box I showed in my category 1 pages. So that some of those initiatives could belong there on the category strategy, where it might not be procurement driving it, but we are aware of it and can reflect in our category strategies in the long term.
Brilliant. Any thoughts, Prasanna?
So as Shruti mentioned, like we have this total cost of ownership approach, which gives you then overview on all of these, not only the cost, quality, sustainability, and it measures based on various components. We measure and go for the optimal solution. So yeah, completely agree. Like whatever approach you use, it may vary, but it should always give the right outputs and make you more sustainable. Yeah.
Excellent. There's a good question from Eric. Great to see you, Eric, from KPMG. So there's a question there about quantitative metrics. So do you use, Sruthi, and maybe directed at you, do you use any quantitative metrics to evaluate either supply impact or maturity? Or is it more of a judgment or view for the category managers, procurement, sustainability colleagues? So quantitative versus sort of more feeling-based decisions, judgments.
We are trying really to promote this ladder, the supplier maturity ladder. So it's not fully quantitative, but at least gives a common way of measuring on wherever suppliers are. So we have some suppliers at the beginner, they're level 1 if they started measuring their emissions, level 2 if they have set targets, level 3 if they can share primary data with us, and level 4 if they work on concrete KPIs or decarbonization collaboration. So yeah, I would say we are using that more for supplier benchmarking.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, 4 minutes left. It's express question time. Okay, so we're going to quick questions. Okay, Prasanna, coming from the perspective of a procurement leader with a small organization, what would you recommend we do to get an insight into the conflict mineral sourcing of our suppliers? So, what can someone get started on conflict mineral sourcing?
Yeah. So when we speak about having a scope, do the analysis and execute, and strategize and execute. So first you can first leverage to understand define the scope. Leverage there are certain websites like committees like our Responsible Minerals Initiative. We could share those websites, so where you can understand what is this regulatory says, what is the requirement of the regulations, and you can start. There are templates to collect the suppliers conflict minerals information, like it is called as conflict minerals reporting template. You can utilize those resources to reach out to your suppliers. The first step is to do a due diligence, having a define how you are going to due diligence with your suppliers, understand who are all the suppliers having these selling the products which your company may use these minerals, which may be, and then identifying the source of these mining locations. And you can leverage the Responsible Minerals Initiative website to validate if those smelters are legally good people, right? So that's how you can developing a process around it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Great advice. There is a responsible something initiative everywhere. So worth starting with the collaborative efforts and the initiatives. They often have all their resources, or should have all the resources, available for free. Right. Sruthi, so much love for your template. I'm sure you're reading it all in the chat. Look at that. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? It should do. It should do.
I downloaded that template before we see.
There you go. It will be in Eaton before you know it, Sruthi. You'll see your work spread throughout Eaton. Question for you, Sruthi. Coming to your question about the Z-axis that you showed, I can barely deal with an X and a Y, but you chucked a Z in there. So what sort of categorization do you do based upon material sustainability impact or other aspects?
I think the Z-axis is a very interesting one, right? Because it can go in both ways, because it can also be we have met some suppliers who might be smaller impact, but they have been even more proactive than us, reaching out to us saying that, can we work on these initiatives together? But it could also go the other way, where, they're a big impact supplier, but we are a very small customer to them. So that means our leverage over the supplier is very low. So then we need to be even more creative on how do we move the needle with the supplier. So that's where we bring the Z-axis. So it's not just as straightforward as putting your suppliers in the 4 boxes. You have to consider the Z-axis in the real practical world.
Brilliant. Okay, one final question for you all, and this comes from a star of the chat, Srinath from Demont, who is a category manager himself. So respect, Srinath, for you. What is the one thing that you would say to category managers about sustainability? So it has to be short. Let's start with you, Prasanna. What's the one thing that you would like category managers to understand about sustainability for their strategy?
So I will start with the ideology which we are trying to implement at CAR. So have the awareness, be more decide, and which will make you more committed towards the organization's goals, and have the gain the knowledge how you can and have the ability to implement and reinforce it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Sruthi, hopefully Prasanna hasn't stolen all of your ideas.
It's a tough one to follow always, but I think just don't underestimate what you can do here. You are a value enabler to net zero, and then consider sustainability just as any other thing that you will consider in your category strategy, right? Like cost, scope of supply, quality. This is going to be a natural part of your decision making. If not today, then tomorrow. So let's get started.
When it comes to this aligning this sustainability, it is never an 1 month job, right? Like it's always a collaborative efforts, right? Being more collaborative. Yeah.
Brilliant. And as Srinath says himself, if any of your category managers are not on board yet, it's high time they start getting sustainability within their work. It's now or never. And indeed, your leader, Sruthi, says, agreed, leaders and supervisors of category managers for sure should be including sustainability in their category management annual goal set. If you're not, shame on you. It should be. It is true, rounded, brilliant category management to be considering all of the risks, all of the impacts. And again, we're going to see more of those risks and more of those impacts than ever before. So that is just good category management. Sruthi, Prasanna, you've been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I think we put this together brilliant. Well, you did anyway. I just spoke over the top of it. So thank you so much for all your effort.
And thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you to everyone for listening and thanks for your comments. Keep going. We're halfway there almost. So keep going. I want to see who breaks the record for how many hours. I hold the record at 20, I think. So from 4 years ago. So no
you are really a champion, Ali. Yeah.
Guys, thank you. Okay. See you later, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for joining the SPP World Sustainable Procurement Day 2025. Our annual get-together across all industries, regions and expertise. 4th edition, sharing and learning together, continuously improving and pioneering. Making together sustainable procurement stronger and more effective and efficient every day and year after year. Getting today new impulses and inspirations to embed in our commitment and our targets 2025 and beyond. Making new connections and getting the energy to make it happen. Enjoy great sessions and many thanks to all the speakers, all team involved with all of you, and to our partners making this day unique and very impactful. Enjoy.